All right, let's talk about finance interviews. You can study all the standards, you can memorize every formula, but if you've ever walked out of an interview feeling like you knew all the answers but still missed the mark, this is for you. We're going to break down a framework that completely changes the game. So, imagine you're sitting in that chair. The interview is going well. You've spent weeks getting ready, and then they hit you with this question. It seems straightforward, right? But this is exactly where so many incredibly smart candidates just freeze. So, what's going on here? Well, here's the fundamental problem. Most of us prepare for a finance interview like it's another exam. It makes sense, right? We spend all our time memorizing and revising. But an interview isn't a test of what you know. It's a performance. It's about showing them how you think live, in the moment. And that leads us right into what I call the interviewer's trap. See, these interviews are specifically designed to test something that you just can't find in a textbook. They're looking beyond your knowledge. They want to see how you apply it, what your judgment is like, and crucially, how you communicate your ideas. This right here, this is the big mindset shift. When you're prepping for an exam, your goal is to recite information. But for an interview, the goal is to demonstrate your thinking process. They don't just want to know that you have the information in your head, they want to see you use it to solve a real problem. It's all about how you think. So it's about thinking, not just knowing. But we can get even more specific. Because the kind of thinking they're looking for really depends on the role you're actually interviewing for. You've got to understand the arena you're stepping into. This slide lays it out perfectly. If you're going for, say, a chartered accountant role, they're going to grill you on the technical nitty-gritty of standards like IFRS. They're testing your judgment. But for a client management services role, the focus completely shifts. It's all about process, systems like SAP, and how well you can talk to different stakeholders. You got to know which game you're playing. Okay, so how do you actually show them your thinking? You can't just say, hey, I'm a great thinker. You need a structure. And this is where we bring in a classic technique, but we're giving it a sharp finance-focused twist. Let's talk about the STAR method. Honestly, this is your secret weapon for those behavioral questions. Now, if you haven't heard of it, STAR is just an acronym. It's super simple. You start with the situation, set the scene. Then the task, what was your specific job? Next, the action, what did you actually do? And you always finish with the result. What was the outcome? It's clean, it's powerful, and it works. Let's make this super concrete. Remember that question about a financial discrepancy? Here's a killer STAR answer. Situation, a 14-lock mismatch during a critical closing period. Task, I had to get the books closed accurately, and I only had 3 days. Action, I dug in, traced the error to a duplicate payment from the company's ERP software, reversed it, and looped in the IT team. And the result? Not only did we close on time, but I updated our procedure so it would never happen again. You see that? You're not just telling a story, you're proving your competence. Okay, so that handles the behavioral questions, but what about those really tricky technical ones? Let me tell you, they're not just testing your memory. They are absolutely setting traps to see if you can connect the dots between a technical role and the actual business. So an interviewer might hit you with something like this, comparing two accounting standards. Now, a weak candidate will just start defining them, but a great candidate knows that's not the real question. The interviewer is looking for something much deeper. And this is the secret. You absolutely have to link your technical answer to the business impact. Don't just define the standard, talk about how it changes the P&L and the balance sheet. Explain how it affects key financial metrics like EBITDA or maybe even debt covenants. You have to translate the technical jargon into real-world business consequences. That is what they are dying to hear. And of course, you're going to get the classic, why us question. Just look at the difference here. The wrong answer is generic and it's all about you. The right answer, it's specific. It shows you've actually researched the company and that your personal ambitions line up with what they actually do. It proves you want this job, not just any job. So, you get the mindset, you have the methods, but how do you pull this all together in those critical hours right before your interview? Let's walk through a very concrete, step-by-step action plan. First things first, you need a portfolio of stories ready to go. Don't just think of one on the fly. You should have at least 5 powerful STAR stories in your back pocket, covering different kinds of situations, which brings us to your final to-do list. Here it is, your 48-hour checklist. Number 1, get those 5 STAR stories ready. Think about a reconciliation, a tough client, a tight deadline. Next, review a few recent industry updates, maybe some ICII or MCA circulars.
This shows you're on top of your game. Then, do your homework. Research the firm's latest projects and clients. And finally, if it's a senior role, walk in with a 30, 60, 90-day plan. It shows you're ready to hit the ground running.
So there you have it. You're not just preparing for an exam anymore. You are preparing to demonstrate your real value. The framework is all here. It's in your hands. So the only question left is, what story are you going to tell first?